Most people think the GT-R story starts in 1989 with the R32. They're wrong. The real story begins in 1957 when a small Japanese company called Prince decided to build a car that could embarrass Ferrari on their own turf. What happened next changed automotive history forever. You see, while everyone was building pretty cars for rich people, Prince was engineering something different, something brutal. They took a sedan, stuffed it with a racing engine, and sent it to win races that no Japanese car had any business winning. That car became the foundation for a 65-year dynasty of absolute monsters. Cars so dominant, they got banned from competition. Machines so feared, they earned mythical nicknames. Supercars so advanced, they redefined what was possible. 7 generations, 6 decades, from a rebellious startup's racing prototype to today's computer-controlled rocket ship. Look, I'm not going to bore you with corporate merger details. Here's what matters. In 1957, Prince Motor Company was a tiny Japanese startup with big dreams and zero respect from the automotive world. While Toyota was building economy cars and Honda was still making motorcycles, Prince had their engineers tearing apart European sports cars piece by piece. Ferrari 250 GTs, Porsche 356s, BMW 507s. They bought them all, studied them, and figured out how to build something better. The result was the 1957 Prince Skyline. But this wasn't just another Japanese sedan trying to copy European luxury cars. Prince had something else in mind. See, Prince engineers had this crazy idea. What if we took our best sedan and made it destroy everything on a racetrack? Not just compete, dominate. So, in 1964, they did exactly that. The Prince Skyline GT became Japan's first true performance car. A 2-liter inline-6 that could rev to 7,000 RPM, when most engines were lucky to see 5,500. Racing-bred suspension that could actually handle corners. And most importantly, it was fast enough to embarrass cars costing 3 times as much. But Prince wasn't satisfied with just being fast. They wanted to prove it where it mattered most, against the best Europe had to offer. Then, in 1966, everything changed. Prince merged with Nissan, and suddenly, this tiny racing-obsessed company had real resources, real funding, and a real opportunity to build something absolutely mental. Enter the PGC-10 Skyline GT-R, the Hakosuka, the car that would define what those 3 letters meant for the next 50 years. While other manufacturers were building sports cars with pretty bodies and weak engines, Nissan's engineers went completely insane. They took their most advanced racing engine, the S20, and somehow convinced management to put it in a street car. This wasn't just any engine. The S20 was a 2-liter inline-6 that revved to 8,000 RPM. It had dual overhead cams when most cars still used push rods, twin Weber carburetors that required constant tuning, and it made 160 horsepower in 1969, when some Mustang V8s were making 140. But here's the thing. Nissan didn't build the Hakosuka to sell cars. They built it to win races. And win races it did. From 1969 to 1972, the GT-R entered 50 races. It won 49 of them. 49! It dominated Japanese touring car racing so completely that competitors stopped showing up. The only race it didn't win, mechanical failure on the final lap while leading by 2 minutes. This wasn't just success, this was complete and utter dominance. The GT-R had announced itself to the world, and the world took notice. But then, disaster struck. 1973, the oil crisis hit Japan like a sledgehammer. Suddenly, nobody wanted gas-guzzling race cars anymore. The Japanese government started pushing emissions regulations, insurance companies went crazy with high-performance car premiums. Nissan had already developed the next GT-R, the Kenmeri. Beautiful flowing lines, updated S20 engine, ready to continue the racing domination. They built exactly 197 of them. 197, that's it. The car that was supposed to carry the GT-R legacy into the 70s became the rarest GT-R ever made. Most people have never even seen one. Hell, most Nissan dealers never saw one. And just like that, the GT-R badge disappeared, gone for 16 years. While the GT-R name was dead, Nissan kept building Skylines. The R30, R31, they tried to recapture the magic with turbos and technology, but something was missing. That racing DNA, that absolute commitment to being the fastest thing on four wheels. Sure, the R31 won some races, but nobody cared. Without the GT-R badge, it was just another fast Nissan. By the mid-80s, Nissan was struggling. Their sports cars were boring. The racing programs were failing. The company that had once built the most feared machine in Japanese motor show was becoming irrelevant. But in the shadows, something was brewing. A top-secret project that would bring the GT-R back from the dead and create the most dominant race car the world had ever seen. In 1985, Yutaka Kume becomes the president of Nissan and immediately declares war on mediocrity. His mission? The 901 movement. Make Nissan the world's best performing car company by 1990. Not just good, the best. While other companies were cutting costs and playing it safe, Kume went completely mental. He told his engineers to forget about budgets and build something that would embarrass every supercar on the planet. The result was the R32 GT-R. And when I say this car was advanced, I mean it was basically alien technology wrapped in a modest gray suit. Twin turbos feeding a 2.6-liter RB26 DETT engine, 280 horsepower, though everyone knew it was making way more than that. All-wheel drive with a computer brain that could think faster than human reflexes. Four-wheel steering that defied physics. But here's the secret weapon nobody saw coming. ATT-ESA ETS. Nissan engineers had literally bought a Porsche 959, torn it apart, and figured out how to build something better. The 959 was brilliant, but it had a fatal flaw. It always sent power to the front wheels, making it understeer like a school bus. The GT-R? It stayed rear-wheel drive until the computers detected slip, then instantly became all-wheel drive exactly when you needed it. The result was a car that could rocket out of corners like a drag racer, but still handle like a precision instrument. In 1990, the R32 showed up to its first race. What happened next was automotive genocide. 29 races, 29 wins. The GT-R didn't just beat the competition, it obliterated them so completely that Australia banned it from their touring car championship. They literally nicknamed it Godzilla because it was destroying everything in its path. So, how do you follow up perfection? How do you improve on a car that literally couldn't lose? Nissan's answer? Make it bigger, stronger, and even more terrifying. The R33 GT-R arrived in 1995 and immediately everyone started complaining. It's too big, it's too heavy, the R32 was better. They were missing the point entirely. See, while keyboard warriors were crying about an extra 100 pounds, Nissan's engineers were busy making the R33 into something far more dangerous than its predecessor. The RB26 got improved internals. the ATT ESA system became even smarter. The aerodynamics were actually functional instead of just looking cool. But here's what really mattered. The R33 was faster everywhere. Nürburgring lap times? Faster. Acceleration? Faster. Top speed? Way faster. In 1996, an R33 GT-R hit 221 miles per hour at the Bonneville Salt Flats. This was a street car with air conditioning and a radio, doing speeds that put it in supercar territory. And just like its little brother, the R33 kept winning races. JGTC championships, Australian touring cars until they banned it again, Le Mans class victories. But Nissan wasn't done evolving. They released the R33 GT-R V-Spec, a track-focused monster with carbon fiber, better aerodynamics, and suspension tuning that made the standard R33 look tame. Then came the LM Limited, essentially a street-legal race car built to celebrate their Le Mans success. 444 units only. If you see one today, you're looking at automotive royalty. The R33 proved something important. The GT-R wasn't just a one-hit wonder. This was a dynasty that kept getting better with each generation. In 1999, Nissan had a problem. The R33 was so good, it was getting boring. Sure, it kept winning races, but where's the excitement when everyone knows you're going to dominate? So they decided to build the ultimate GT-R, the final word, a machine so perfect it would make every other sports car obsolete. The R34 GT-R didn't look dramatically different, but underneath the familiar silhouette was the most advanced production car ever built. We're talking about technology that wouldn't appear in other cars for another decade. The RB26 DETT got its final evolution. Stronger internals, better turbos, and a factory power output that everyone knew was a complete lie. Nissan claimed 280 horsepower because of Japan's gentleman's agreement, but dyno sheets showed the truth. These things were making 320 plus horsepower straight from the factory. But the real magic was in the electronics. The R34 introduced the multi-function display, a screen that could show you everything the car was doing in real time. Boost pressure, oil temperature, G-forces, even which wheels were getting power at any given moment. This wasn't just a fancy gauge cluster, it was a window into the car's soul. For the first time ever, you could watch a GT-R's computer brain making split-second decisions to keep you alive at 150 miles per hour. Then came the special editions, and this is where things got absolutely mental. The V-Spec took everything good about the standard R34 and cranked it to 11. Carbon fiber hood, better cooling, suspension tuning that bordered on telepathic. But that was just the beginning. The V-Spec 2 added even more carbon fiber, better aerodynamics, and suspension settings that could read the road like a fortune teller. But the ultimate R34? That was the Nur. Built to celebrate Nissan's Nürburgring domination, only 1,000 were made. Gold-colored wheels, special paint, and suspension tuning that made the car feel like it was welded to the track. The R34 GT-R didn't just end the 1990s. It ended an entire era of automotive development. It was the last purely analog supercar with digital brains, the last GT-R that required skill to drive fast, and the last one that could kill you if you weren't paying attention. When production ended in 2002, nobody knew that it would take 7 years for the GT-R to return. All they knew was that Nissan had just built automotive perfection. And then, silence. For 5 years, the 3 most feared letters in motorsport disappeared from showrooms. No new GT-R, no racing dominance, just nothing. Nissan was struggling financially. Carlos Ghosn had taken over and was cutting costs everywhere. Sports cars were expensive to develop and sold in tiny numbers. The business case for a new GT-R just wasn't there. Meanwhile, the R34's legend kept growing. Import tuners were turning them into 1,000 plus horsepower monsters. Hollywood put one in Fast and Furious. Prices for clean examples started climbing towards six figures. The GT-R had become a mythical creature, something everyone talked about, but nobody could actually buy new. Other manufacturers tried to fill the void. Subaru's STI, Mitsubishi's Evo, even Honda's NSX-R. All great cars, but none had that GT-R DNA. That absolute commitment to being the fastest thing on four wheels, regardless of cost or complexity. By 2005, enthusiasts had given up hope. The GT-R was history, a relic from a time when Japanese manufacturers actually cared about making cars that could embarrass supercars. But in Nissan's advanced engineering division, something was stirring. A top-secret project that would bring the GT-R back from the dead and redefine what a supercar could be. They weren't just building a new GT-R, they were building a weapon. December 2007, Tokyo Motor Show. Nissan pulls the cover off something that looks like it came from 2020. The R35 GT-R. A car so advanced, it made every other supercar look like a horse and buggy. But here's the thing everyone missed at first glance. This wasn't just another GT-R. This was a complete revolution in how supercars were built. No manual transmission, no traditional all-wheel drive system, no analog gauges. Instead, Nissan had built something that operated more like a computer than a car. The VR38 DETT engine was a masterpiece of modern engineering. Twin turbos, 480 horsepower, and an ability to make power that defied physics. But the real breakthrough was the premium midship layout. Engine in the front, transmission in the back, perfect weight distribution. Then there was the transmission itself, a dual clutch system that could shift faster than human thought. Gear changes in 0.15 seconds, quicker than you could blink. And the all-wheel drive? Forget everything you knew about the ATT ESA. The R35 system could send power exactly where it needed to go, when it needed to go there, with precision that bordered on supernatural. The result was a car that could accelerate like a drag racer, corner like a Formula One car, and brake like it had parachutes. 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. Nürburgring lap times that embarrassed cars costing twice as much. But the real genius was in the details. Launch control that guaranteed perfect starts every time. Multiple driving modes that changed the car's personality at the touch of a button. Computer systems that can make thousands of calculations per second to keep you alive. Other manufacturers spent decades trying to match what Nissan achieved with the R35. Most of them still haven't succeeded. Here's where the R35 story gets really interesting. Instead of replacing it every few years, Nissan decided to continuously evolve it. Each year brought improvements, updates, and special editions that pushed the boundaries even further. 2012 brought the Black Edition, more aggressive aerodynamics, and the first factory power increase to 545 horsepower. 2014 saw the Nismo Edition, the most hardcore GT-R ever built. Track-focused suspension, carbon fiber, everything, and aerodynamics developed in actual wind tunnels. This wasn't just a GT-R, it was a street-legal race car. 2017 introduced the Track Edition, stripped down, lightened up, and focused purely on lap times. Nissan had built a car that could show up to any track day and embarrass million-dollar hypercars. And through it all, the R35 kept getting faster. The latest models make over 600 horsepower, can hit 60 miles per hour in under 3 seconds, and lap the Nürburgring faster than cars that exist only in video games. But here's what's really impressive. After 16 years, the R35 is still competitive with brand new supercars. Cars that cost 3 times as much struggle to match its performance. So here we are, 7 generations spanning 65 years. From Prince's racing prototype to today's computer-controlled rocket ship, the GT-R has won over 500 races across 6 decades. It's been banned from competitions more times than any other car in history. It set lap records at tracks around the world and inspired an entire generation of performance cars. More importantly, it proved something that nobody believed in 1969, that a Japanese car could not just compete with European supercars, but completely dominate them. Today, every performance car uses technology that the GT-R pioneered. All-wheel drive systems, advanced electronics, computer-controlled, everything. The GT-R wrote the playbook that everyone else follows. In the future, Nissan has confirmed that a new GT-R is coming. Hybrid power, electric assistance, technology that will make the R35 look primitive. The next chapter in a story that started with a small company's dream to build something faster than Ferrari. 65 years later, that dream is still alive. The GT-R didn't just change automotive history, it became automotive history. And that's the complete story of every GT-R ever built. From rebellious startup to banned beast to modern-day legend. 3 letters that still make supercars nervous. From a 1957 racing prototype that nobody took seriously to a modern-day monster that redefined what possible means. The GT-R story isn't just about cars. It's about what happens when engineers stop asking why and start asking, why not? 7 generations, 6 decades, 1 simple mission. Build something faster than everything else. Mission accomplished.